Alrighty, we are live from Columbus, OH, and this is the Ramsey Show After Show. Just wait for YouTube to catch up so I can verify that we have audio. And we do. Let's see what audio we are on here. Alright, that should suffice. Let me know if it's not loud enough. Where was I? Oh yeah, this is the Ramsey Show After Show, and thank you so much for watching. As always. All right, you're watching it on youtube.com/coachstevemoney. Imagine that. And for my other financial content, you just scroll past the Oak Island playlist and you'll see the Ramsey Show After Show. The day is number 525 of those. And there's 138 answering your financial questions streams in that playlist. And there's 12 Ramsey adjacent songs in the music playlist. Listen to those if you are so inclined. For example, no spending money to seem cool. Do when you're on baby step two, and how to do the baby steps right. And of course, you belong dead free. You belong dead free. Fun times, fun times. And then when you're out in the grocery store and they start playing those original songs, then you'll think of my lyrics, and then I win. That's how that works. Alrighty. Market report. Market down again. Traders not liking something, as always, but even more so than normal. On a little down streak. Let's check that NASDAQ. Last 6 months, 14.4% down. Last 6 months. Sure, S&P 500, 11.89. So, fortunately, we don't go by just 6 months or even 1 year. You go by a 10-year track record. And that's what you need to think about. Also, what you think about here is, since you buy on schedule, whether it's up or down, right now you're getting it on sale. Let's see what the rest of the planet is doing. Mostly, and so this has, this is not, didn't have as much to do with us. Certainly, tariffs affect the rest of the world, sure. But who knows if that's the problem? Oh yeah, it's Trump. Yeah, so blaming Trump whether or not it's his fault or not. But anyway, only the FTSE up. And I believe that's their S&P 500, I believe, or their Dow. I can't remember which one it is. I can't expect to remember all the American stuff and all the worldly stuff, the global stuff as well. Asia mostly up. Good for them. Let's see how that US dollar is faring. Down to the euro, down to the yen, down to the British pound, love. But just turned up against the Canadian dollar, so sorry, Canadians. And it is down to the Australian dollar. Mate, Australia said nar. See, we got 4 earnings this week. Single stocks. We have Verizon, Intuitive. Is that Intuit and they changed their name? I believe that's the case. Intuit. Oh, let's just change our name to Intuitive. I'm sure the guy that thought of that is making a ton of money. All right. And GE Vernova, I believe that's General Electric, and they changed their name as well. to be more, I think to be more climate change friendly. I don't know where the Vernova comes from, but I believe that's the case as well. So everybody changing the name. Procter and Gamble still called the same though. Merck, Sharp, and Doma. I think Merck is, and so possibly the other ones are pharmaceutical, I believe, and AbbVie. I can't recall. I don't remember what that is. I don't know if I was told what that was. Somebody told me what one of the ones was that I could never remember. And is everything down in the most followed single stocks on the Google? It looks like it. And of course, the most down, as usual, or up either way. The most swing either way is going to be Tesla for the day. Let's see what the news is. Trump issues huge Fed challenge, sparking stock market plunge as gold and Bitcoin prices surge. Oh, the Fed. Yeah, how about, I mean, they obviously aren't being proactive enough. They haven't been, right? Otherwise, inflation would be in what they want it to be, theoretically. They say they want it to be 2% a year. Apparently not, because they're not making that happen. Passengers evacuate Delta flight after engine fire at Orlando Airport. That is not fun at all. FTC, what up, Jimmy T? FTC sues Uber, says company charged for Uber One without consent. Amazon has paused some data center lease commitments, Wells Fargo says. How would Wells Fargo know about that unless they're running the payments? And why would they? That's weird. That's weird. Are they the bank for what, Amazon? And are you supposed to be doing that? Or are they leasing them from Wells Fargo? Interesting stuff. I'm not going to click on it. Not that interested. Let's see. Kennedy plans to phase out 8 commonly used food dyes. I don't see what the problem with that is. It's a dye. If worst comes to worst, maybe the food doesn't look as enticing, but it tastes the same. Just taste it. The Big Mac could be green, and it could, if it's cooked, it'd still be fine probably. Chipotle to open Mexican locations for the first time in 2026. Interesting. I wonder how it'll do there. That's interesting. Google says Department of Justice proposal for breakup would harm U.S. and global race with China. Sure. Try that. Try that as your defense there for doing that. I mean, I don't think that, again, I've said this before. I don't think if you invent something, if you're the first one to do it, which is basically the internet, monetizing the internet as far as ads are concerned. And so you invent that and it makes you a lot of money, and then all of a sudden you're the bad guy because you have a monopoly on it. You invented it. Somebody else could have invented it. They didn't. So I don't think the government is charged with making everything equal for everybody, because that's not how life works. It doesn't work like that. And not everybody deserves everything being equal. Because, some people don't put in forth the effort, and so why should you just be handed stuff? New York Post has stated the village is to see if all the wild rumors about the retirement community are true. Don't know. Maybe there's some crazy stuff going on there. Fox Business as gold soars, dollar sinks. Forbes warned U.S. headed towards 1970s style inflation nightmare. Oh, hey, well, I guess the Fed better get their butts on it then, instead of just being, whatever they're doing, which is nothing most time. What up, Aslan? So good to see you. How are the livestock? NVIDIA down 4.51. We did Tesla already. Anybody else interesting? Intel only down a half, or a little over 0.5%. All right, so that's enough for bad news today. In the market report, let's check the futures. Futures down some more. Anything could happen in the interim. Let's see what the crypto is. That going back up? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But you remember it wasn't too long ago that was at 105,000. So, people thought, oh, well, that'll be independent of the market. Apparently not. Alrighty, so normally we do reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey for questions, but I ran out. And so on Friday, I got a bunch of questions from the Ramsey Solutions run Facebook group called the Ramsey Baby Steps Community, and did not get through all of those, so we'll just knock the rest of those out. And then go back over to the Reddit if this does not take the entire rest of the hour. Can someone educate me about baby step 4? Would love to. I need to reread the Total Money Makeover on this part. I'm trying to remember how much about it was in there. It's been a long time since I read that. I should probably get the new one from the library and check that out, the updated one that they updated just this past 2 Mays ago, maybe. No, this May, I think. Or was it last May? I can't. Yeah, and so when I get the last call was about someone's, I think, mom that had dementia, and that's very sad. But I am here to tell you that as long as my oncoming dementia, if that does happen, as long as it doesn't keep me from being able to start a stream, I'll still be streaming, so you guys can enjoy every second of my downfall. Let's see, where are we? Oh, we on this part. Oh, don't have the book anymore, right? Well, you can go to the library and get it. Or you can re-buy it. So hopefully gave it to somebody else that needed it and that is following it. That would be fabulous. So the rule is to contribute 15%. Does that mean every paycheck? Yes. 15% out of every paycheck? Yes. I should be contributing 15%, excluding the company match. That's correct. That does not count as part of the 15%. Any match is gravy on the biscuit. That's just extra bonus. Or do you calculate your yearly gross income and contribute 15% of that? No, you do it as you get the money, meaning out of every paycheck. You don't save up a bunch or do it at the end of the year, because then you're missing out on all that growth. And like right now, it's down. And so you can get it on sale right now. So you would not want to be saving and then investing later. You would want to be buying it right now. But you buy on schedule, so you would buy out of every paycheck. Like if you get paid Fridays, you would buy every Friday, up or down. Also, this is my work 401k allocation. It says it's professionally being managed. It is. They are getting paid to manage it, whether they're doing a good job or not. Let's see. I want to follow Dave's rule to spread it out on four mutual funds. Do I just call them to switch it up so I can manage it personally? Yeah, if it's an option. It might not be an option to manage it personally with your particular company, with whoever they are using to manage the retirement accounts. So you can find out about that if so, or you can see if they have options available within it. And that is the problem. Most times on these, they will just throw you into target date funds. And those are historically very, very conservative. They're not aggressive enough, especially when you're younger. You need to be way more aggressive. Let's see. Or can I have them distribute it and have it managed professionally? I don't know what distribute it means. You mean have them change it, or are you talking about them letting an outside firm do it? I don't know what you mean there. I would guess you mean to have them change it, but put it in the right kind of categories. Which those 4 types are, of course, small, mid, large cap, and international. And of course, Dave calls them, what is it? Growth, aggressive growth, growth in income, and International. I always forget which ones. I remember aggressive growth is a small cap. I can always remember that one. And of course, international is international. So the other one you flip a coin on. Let's see. But if you do research on it yourself, you're usually not gonna see those words. You're gonna see small, mid, large cap on those instead of the growth terms. Step 4 and 6, long-term plan question. Raphael, see, and that's what I was saying on the Ramsey Show chat earlier. The trolls insist on watching, so I have him blocked, so I can't see anything typing. So fun times, but thanks, because that puts money in my pocket, and you also wouldn't think a dumb troll would be doing that, but they can. It's a free country. Let's see. Long-term plan question. Baby steps 4 and 6. Age 52 and 4 years left on mortgage. All right, knock it out. As I get closer to retirement, 65, okay. Is there a percentage or other figure of retirement savings that should be in a more secure location than the S&P? Mr. Ramsey didn't tell you, just like the last question. Last question knew it would be spread out to 4 mutual funds. Mr. Ramsey does not say to put it in an index fund for retirement. He says to do managed funds because they can, if you find the right ones. I have mine do beat the S&P 500 index. My large cap ones beat the NASDAQ index, which has beaten the S&P 500 index 17 out of the last 20 years. So you S&P only people are being lazy and you're leaving money on the table. S&P better than nothing for sure, but you're leaving money on the table. I'm not worried about market volatility now. Great. But in 10 years, I probably will be. Okay. Well, I mean, my name is Paul, and that's between y'all. If you're getting close to retirement, and like anybody right now, I understand when it starts to go down and they are retiring, say this year or next year. I mean, I guess that's a valid concern. And so if you want to move it as you get closer to retirement, if you want to move it to something more conservative, I mean, that's on you. So, because it could be down right when you decide to retire. But the good part is people often think of it wrong as you have to cash out the whole thing at one time. No, you don't. You would just take out what you need to live on. You know, that whole 4% imaginary number thing that the financial bros like to use, just the industry in general, says, oh, 4% is what you should be shooting for. We don't control what the expenses will be when we retire. We don't know what those expenses will be. So you can't just arbitrarily say 4% just because it fits in your plan of not ever touching the principal. Sorry, that's not how life works. How about we deal with actual life instead of you just trying to make your math work and you trying to actually have a plan when it's not a plan because it doesn't address the situation. It just makes you feel better about being able to say a percentage and thinking you've done your job. You have not. You have not fixed anything by saying 4%. Because you don't know. There's too many variables. So the idea is to make as much as you can, and that's the best you can do regardless of what number the financial people make up. Currently investing 15% plus 9 match, and 9 is a healthy match. Congratulations. Into Roth 401k, great. 100 a month into a Roth IRA, set up pre-Ramsey, and honestly, for me, to be honest, 100 a month is less than the blow money in the budget. Okay. But you should not see, this is the thing here. This is the thing here. You should not be investing more than the 15%. The match doesn't count, of course. So you get the 15 and the match. Why you got to do the extra 100? Just because you started doing it, and so now you're locked in to doing the same thing that you were doing, maybe even before you started following the Ramsey advice, which you're not doing by doing that, because that 100 a month would be put on the mortgage. And when you're back on step 7, or when you're on step 7 for the first time, and that house is paid off, then you can invest whatever you want into the Roth IRA above the 15%. But right now, it should be capped at 15 while you pay off that mortgage. And guess what's going to happen in retirement? You know what would be great in retirement? If that mortgage was definitely gone. So pay it off faster than 4 years from now. You don't have to run out the clock on it and make minimum payments on it. You're doing it wrong. Oh, paying approximately 3 extra mortgage payments a year. Great. Plus, do that additional $1,200 a year too, instead of putting it in the Roth IRA. You're doing it wrong. Saving 15% net high yield savings, sinking funds. Now, if those are, 15% is a lot of your of your net take home pay to be in that, and that's sinking funds, and that's fine if they all have a name. But if you were just doing general savings in case you want to buy something or something like that, that's a no. You would put that money on the house as well. Sinking funds are for known upcoming expenses, not because you might see a boat you like. That's a NAR on that. So if you want to buy a boat, I guess you talk with the missus if there is one. If not, that'll be a quick budget meeting then. And then you do a boat sinking fund, but you don't just have money laying around that you can do stuff with, like buy the dip. We don't do that. Again, like I said, you buy up or down on the schedule. As I said, international stocks doing pretty well right now. Yeah, it looked decent on the more green there. And when we check the global markets, and 15% is a big sink. That much is certain. You could have like a dish that big in there probably. Let's see. So that's the dealio on that. So you're doing it wrong. Only buy 100 a month there, and then whatever dumb crap you're doing with the sinking funds. If they all have a name on it, fine. 15% of your net your take-home pay, 15% going into the sinking funds. That is a lot, and so we would have to talk about that if I were advising you. That would be. I always find something. There hasn't been a client that I have not found something to challenge them on. At least give them something to think about it. And in the end, it's always their particular choice, and that's fine. It's their life and their money. But there's always something that they're doing that's screwy because people are nutty, and they can't just follow a very, very simple plan from Mr. Ramsey. My wife and I just received a bill from the IRS for $4,100. About $800 in interest and fees from our 2020 taxes. I got a great idea. Why don't we file taxes on time, and why don't we pay them on time too? That would be great if we did that. The lady that did our taxes that year causes many issues. Oh, I think I read this one already. How could I have done that? Based on what I found out, there was a 1099 not reported that we gave to the lady that did our taxes. So I know we owe the money, but we just got the notice of 4 years later. Well, it's the federal government. How on it do you expect them to be? So, what are my options, if any, to try to pay less? Probably none. At least knock out the interest. I said probably none. You pay somebody to do it, sure. And you gave her the 1099, sure, but it still comes down to you. So you can see if if the lady that did your taxes will give you some kind of break or refund or anything like that, you can try that. But that's not the government's fault. So the government didn't tell you to use that lady. Could have done them yourself and did them correctly, or or hired somebody else. I don't know what to tell you. So you're not going to be able to knock out the interest. So I don't know why, and why would you even think you would deserve that? Understand you didn't do it yourself, and you paid a supposed professional, but everybody makes mistakes. And so, but I don't think I don't think they have a way to knock out any of it, to forgive any of it. You have to pay it. Plus the 800, in, what is that, 800 in interest? 800 in interest, and fees. Okay, I was going to say, that's a lot of interest on 4,100. But yeah, interest and fees, right? I mean, and that was 5 years ago, babe. Or 4 for filing. Yeah, so I don't think they have a thing for that. So you just have to pay them and not use that person anymore if you are indeed still using the person. And if you are still using that same person, hopefully you didn't have any problems the last 4 years. Let's see. Trying to figure out what to do with my bonus in both December 2025 and February 2026. Well, that's ahead planning there. Definitely plan that out ahead. But how you do that is you apply any extra money to whatever baby step you're on. So if you are on baby step 3, trying to get the rest of that, you don't all of a sudden skip to it just because you get a chunk of money. Or you don't say, I'm going to go ahead and put this in step 5. You don't do that. That's a NAR. You do the baby steps as is. And if you're on step 3, you would apply it to step 3 until that you have that full emergency fund. And then, only then, would you go to step 4. So yeah, whatever baby step you're on, and as many baby steps, and hopefully you get enough bonus money or surprise money or any kind of extra money. You get enough that takes you directly from whatever baby step you're on all the way to 7. Those are the best kind. Now they're probably not that frequent though. Probably rare that happens, but it has happened. I have an HSA. 2 kids in therapy and both see a psychiatrist. They have monthly appointments, I believe, with both. Of course, with my high deductible plan, after they bill my insurance and take their contractual adjustment, I owe the balance out of pocket, right? So far, there just isn't enough money in my health savings account to cover the monthly charges for both of those, but there is enough to cover the weekly injections for my son and all of our prescriptions. I have the option of having my employer put my entire bonus into my HSA in December. Do you remember filling the HSA in December? Which is equal to 1 paycheck and up to the max yearly contribution out of my annual incentive. If I choose the latter, that'll leave me with anywhere from $6K to $10K to throw at my debt. This would also allow me to get ahead of our medical expenses, so moving forward, I wouldn't have to pay anything out of pocket. My HSA would cover everything. I mean, that's fine. That's fine for you to do. The HSA, that is what it's there for, health savings account. It is there. You put money in it to cover future medical expenses that you know for sure, like in this case, that you're going to have. And so, yeah, and that's fine. And then with the rest of it, you throw it at baby step 2 debt. But yeah, so I mean, that how you would look at that would be that part of, getting current, staying current. That's part of baby step 0, where you work it out so you stay current on everything. So yeah, that would be fine. I feel like for me, maxing out of my annual incentive would be best, but I'd like other opinions as well. What are you going to do until December? It is what, the 4th month now, so to 12. So we got 8 months before that. What are you going to do until then? Just not have enough for that time? So I would think about how you're doing that now, and why isn't that fine also in December? Unless you want to get out of the way you're doing it now. But I would ask how you're doing it now. Let's see. Hi, guys. I can use some good advice. I have a 21-year-old son who lives with me. His father and I are divorced. I'm a teacher, and he works at my school as a paraprofessional, earning $20 an hour. His expenses are at home are car insurance and car payment, $150 a week. I take $100 of his monthly total to save for him. 21, right? Adult is 18, right? He also pays for gas, which is about $50 a week. He makes a little more than $600 a week after taxes. My question is, what is the best way for him to be responsible and save? It's for him to be an adult and be responsible and save. And how you save money or pay off debt is to not spend it on stuff. It's how you do that. And you know what? Perhaps you didn't teach Junior there, the kid, how to do that when he was your kid and not an adult. So you're babying him, enabling, not helping. Sounds very, very bad situation there. I was gonna have him pay for his own groceries initially. Then I felt like for me that I'd rather have him save to move out one day. And so yeah, if he's not doing that and is spending the money instead, that's BS. And then hey, guess what? Have him pay for his groceries. Better yet, say, hey, I love you, and because I love you, you're gone in 3 months. Have a place to live. Go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. He's supposed to be paying his dad $200 a month to go towards a retirement fund, but hasn't started that yet. He's not much of a go-getter, you think? And when you worry about that, long before he's 21 years old, you're doing it wrong, lady. I don't want to become the mom who is stressed. You're the one writing to Reddit and yelling, forcing him to do things, but I know how important it is to start young. Well, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. You're starting when he's 21. When he's already an adult, you did it wrong. What do you recommend a good plan be for him? Probably to get out on his own. But, you can just tell him he has to shape up. And you tell him he's got like 3 months to get out. Now, if you don't have, you can do whatever you want to. That's just that's a Dave thing. He prefers that adults live on their own so they can deal with the world instead of having mommy have to save money for them. Like take money and save it for the child that is now an adult. This will not be a forever job, but until he makes a decision on what he wants to do, it's his job. Thank you for your advice. Yeah. Maybe some counseling or something like that. But how about you talk to him like an adult and not like you talked here with, where was it? That really rubbed me the wrong. What's the best way for him to be responsible and save? I was gonna have him pay. Rather have him save more. Oh, it didn't say that at all. Did I make that up? About saving for him. No, maybe I got that from a different question sometime. I don't know. Maybe dementia could be setting in today. It's possible. Maybe this is the early signs. Okay, so I thought maybe it was just that I'd rather have him save to move out one day. Okay. And yeah, you would think that, I understand, not a go-getter, but you would think that a 21-year-old might not want to live with mommy, but when you do that, it's very easy. Life is very easy. And so The problem is you're not going to be here forever, and then one day all of a sudden you're not going to be there, and then what's he going to do? So you need to work with him and have a plan on how to be an adult. Have him be an adult. I would have him practice immediately and eventually work that out where he's gone. He's out of your house and he's living on his own. Yeah, I did say she was going to save 100 a month for him, right? Let's say, oh, if he has medical debt, then he needs to stop funding the 401k and take care of the medical debt. Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, he needs to stop anyway. I am losing it today. I am into the yeah, I'm totally losing it today. This question doesn't say what the HSA is not. Doesn't say they're doing investing, but yeah, if they are. Oh yeah, I see. Okay, that's up here, right? Okay, all right. With this one, but with the other one, the HSA one, I don't see anything about investing. There was one that was investing that was way up here. Yeah, this one with the 15.9%. Oh yeah, not a IRS bill. So the IRS bill, so there you might take time off of investing as well. Since you owe the IRS, unless you have 4,100 laying about, which, oh, hey, look, there's a high yield savings account that has 15% of your income each month. So probably you have enough in there. And so if you don't have a name on every single one of those sinking funds dollars, guess what? You can throw that right at the 4,100 and take care of it today. But you see, people are so in their heads about their own little stuff that they make up the way to handle money is that they can't fathom doing that. No, that's my sinking funds money. How could I possibly use it to pay the IRS? So, yeah, people think make things harder than it is all the time. Where are we at? Okay, so yeah, so many questions, and some are similar, have some similar different parts, so they are hard to keep track of sometimes. For any business owners, self-employed out there in baby step 4, what do you use to gauge your 15%? Do you go off the previous year's taxes and your total business income? Again, you do it off of every paycheck. You're not doing it by an entire year. So you do it by 15% out of every paycheck, and you buy 15%. 15% of every gross income should be going to that. Do you go off the previous year's taxes? No, you go out of each individual check that you get. Or if it's your business, whatever you're allowing yourself to take home. Taxable income, meaning after the standard deduction quality business, it's gross there. 15% of gross. It says it right there upon the baby step. Look at that. Oh, actually it doesn't. My bad. That's my bad. It says invest 15% of your household income into retirement. It probably says gross if you click on more, and let's see if the Reddit page says gross on there. Yeah, the Reddit one says some of these they have phrased better. It does say 15% of your gross income. So yeah, that would be your gross income, my friend. So it's none of the you're again overthinking it, trying to think too much about it. It's what you bring home, your take-home pay, what your gross is. Do you go just what you draw out of the business? Yeah, because that would be your salary. Yep, that's right. But you're the gross amount. How do you determine your 15%? Yeah, that would be it. the gross of what you draw out of business before you pay any taxes on it is what you should be putting into retirement, 15%. Baby steps 4 to 6 question, trying to figure out who is right between me and my wife. There's a comedian that he and his wife, maybe about a year ago now, started they started going to therapy or counseling rather. They weren't really having any problems. I think she just wanted to do it just to like head anything off, get ahead of things, and whatever. And so, and of course, he's doing it. He's kind of nutty, but he is doing it wrong. He says after they had done 5 of them, he said, "No, it's cool. We've done 5 of them. I've won 3 of them." Okay, so it's not it's not a battle. It's not a battle when you go to counseling, in marriage counseling. It's not a battle. So that was nutty, I thought. I mean, incredibly funny, since they aren't really having any problems for sure. But that's not what counseling means, to be right most times or whatever. Or to have the good points all the time. And so, but doing that is not a surprise that he would do that, but that is kind of nutty. Baby step 4 to 6 question, trying to figure out who's right between me and my wife. She's wanting to put in a pool at her house. We could pay cash for it, okay? However, that will delay us paying off the house. We're on track to have this house paid off by 2027. And before we're both 30, not dirty. That's a different word. It would probably delay the house payoff by a year to 18 months. So I'm a hard ass, and so I'm saying you pay the house off before you put a freaking pool into it. So, but people do this crap all the time. Before they pay off their house, they have to have a remodel or something like that. Not just repair, they have to, and if there are any repairs that are needed, they jump on that to say, oh, well, we might as well remodel all at the same time because it'll save money in the long run. No, that's dumb as crap. So you're doing it wrong. People are nutty. They do this all the time. And it's good that you could pay cash for it, though. That's good if you insist on doing it, but that would be a nar from me. You get that house paid off first, and then get in baby step 7, and then, hey, how about that? Then you pay cash for it. Oh, and say, hey, guess what? You are not going to believe this. 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 Let's take a look at baby steps 4, 5, and 6. It says invest 15% of your household income into retirement. Assume you're doing that. Save for kid college. Assume you're doing that if you have kids. If not, you can skip it. Or if you decide not to help them, you want them to get a backbone and do things on their own. That's fine as well. You're the parents. In step 6, look, it says pay off your home early. I don't see in steps 4, 5, and 6, I don't see here anywhere where it says save up enough cash to put in a pool. It does not say that. So you should be doing this stuff instead. So you're doing it wrong. So that should go to paying off the house early. So pay off the house early and then you put a pool in it. People don't like to wait for stuff. I get it, but that's doing it wrong. Let's see. Aslan says with her business, she tracks monthly profit and then do 401k contributions based on that. Right. It's not that difficult as that person was making it. People do get in their heads about it and make it bad. Sometimes at the end of there, you may need to make an adjustment. Right. If you do it like that, sure. But if you're doing it actually, what you actually take home every time and buy out of that, buy 15% out of that, out of the gross amount before the taxes come out, then that's your dealio on that. And of course, if you have a bad month, that may mean you're not taking anything home, which that's not fun. So don't have a business like that. I would highly highly recommend that you don't do that. And she says, wait to 18 months to give yourself time to decide if you really want a pool. Right. Right. Good idea. Have you guys shut off auto bill pays so that you can pay the bills when you have the money and don't have to wait for it to post? I'm struggling with the budgeting income minus expenses when so many of the bills are either beginning or end of the month. It's stressful and irritating to not spend XYZ this week because those XYZ funds will be needed in a week to cover a bill that's auto payment for next week. It's hard for me to tell what I do or do not have extra each week to throw any extra towards debt. So you see, this is called simple math. And again, people are nutty the way they think about things, but if I look at my bank balance and I see in there X amount, it's not stressful for me not to spend it if I know I need a certain amount for something coming up next week before I get paid again. And so you just have to know these numbers, and you apparently do because you're already saying it. You're already saying that that's the exact situation. So you do understand it. You just don't like it that the money is in there. So that's dumb as crap. But you already know what it's for, and you know the reason for it. And so why is it stressful and irritating to see a higher number in there that you can't spend? Because they will be expenses next week. That's called being an adult and not just going, I see the money, I want to spend it. So I don't know what the dealio is with this person. It's hard for me to tell, what I do and do not have extra every week to throw any extra towards debt. Well, you can throw extra towards debt, all of it except the XYZ amount that is needed in a week, right? It's simple math. You're just making it more difficult for some reason. Or there's something going on in your head, the way your mind operates, that is causing that. So I don't know what to tell you there. Always been a tither. It's the eye of the tither. It's the thrill of giving. But now that probably won't be a song. But now a new business owner, restaurant. Okay. We're still in the red 6 months later. That's not great. That's not great when you're in the red. I ain't saying anything. It's just dangerous to have a race car in the red. That's from Pulp Fiction. Highly recommend. 6 months later, and I'm funding the business, payroll, etc., with my paycheck from my job. Yeah, that's not advised to be doing that 6 months later. I understand it might take a minute to get started, but that's regardless of tithing, dude, you gotta figure out if it's gonna work or not. I mean, is there any indication that it is gonna fund itself eventually, other than your delusion, other than you wanting it to? Because I'm sure you have wanting it to. I haven't tithed since the business started, and I'm trying to avoid any debt on the business. Okay, so we don't try to avoid debt on the business. We don't do debt on the business. If it comes a time where the only solution is debt on the business, then we close the business. Don't be dumb. I'm not sure how to interpret tithing in this case since I'm not profiting and I don't believe in going in debt to tithe. Well, you wouldn't do that either. There's no debt for anything there. So basically the tithing thing is on you. That is, if you can sleep at night with considering that you're not making any money now, you're losing money on the business. And so you have like zero coming in. But if you're making some from the job that you get to keep, then that's what you should tithe on. What you're not using to, and it's not God's fault or anybody else's fault that you're doing a business that you have to fund with your other paycheck. So
I mean, this is a you decision basically because tithing is a Christian thing, and so if you're a Christian, that is what you would be doing. And so you can, justify whatever math you want to on it, but I would probably go with the plus amount, which you're not using. But again, some people would say no, you go with everything you make from your job because God didn't tell you to start that business, and He also might be telling you to stop doing it by not having the business be solvent yet. It's insolvent. Yeah, since you're not profiting after 6 months. So that might be God's way of saying, hey, it's not going to happen, my friend. So, but yeah, basically the tithing is going to be up to you. Christians believe in it, and so they should do that. That is the advice for them. Aslan says, after you have been in business for 6 months, you should be looking to see if you are at least losing less money each month. That's a good idea. That you can see light at the end of the tunnel. That's right. And as always, if you're lost in the darkness, look for the light. Aslan further says, if it is not improving, then you have to make some hard decisions. Indeed. Indeed. After 6 months, I gotta see something that's positive. And if there's nothing, sorry, gotta close it. Oh, but it's my dream. It doesn't sound like a dream. Sounds like a nightmare. 5:25 p.m. and that's approximately what time I start the Ramsey Show Aftershow show. 5:27. They used to be done by 5:25, but then somewhere 2 minutes got added on. Taxes in progress, reason change. We found 3 changes to your Equifax credit report. 687 credit score, minus 56 points since April 13th, 2025. In the year 2525. Balance decreased, PennyMac, loan service. Account balance decreased. Discover bank account balance decreased. Yeah, they don't like that. They don't like that at all because the credit score is the I love debt score. And so when you stop interacting with debt, that's when they're like, oh, you don't love us anymore. We're taking you down 56 points, dog. And that's why we don't give a crap about what that credit score is. Aslan further says, with a business, if it's going to fail, it is actually a blessing to have it fail quicker rather than dragging it out. That's correct as well. Good advice from Aslan. My husband invests 10% to his 401k and I do 5%, or do we both have to invest 15%? People are nutty with the math. Okay, so 15, this throws a lot of people. A lot of people have this problem. 15% of husband plus 15% of wife does not equal 30% household. 15% of husband and 15% of wife equals 15% of household. Do we not understand that? 15% of one, 15% of the other equals 15% of both. So you people are nutty with your math there. And so, yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people make that mistake, though. If you were on baby steps 4 to 6, I'm curious to know what you would do with your extra money. You only do since step 4, as we discussed, it says 15% of gross income, right? And yet people somehow can't even follow that. It says that right there. It says 15%. Even it doesn't say gross here, which is what it's supposed to be, but at least you should be doing, even if you're doing it wrong, since it says 15%, you should be only investing 15%, not more, not less. So you're doing it wrong. You're thinking about life wrong. Pay off current home. Have cash ready to purchase home if house market goes down. No, we don't try to time any market, so that one's out. Invest in the stock market. You're already doing that. You should already be doing the 15%, so you would not be putting extra money to investing as well. You would only be doing the 15%. So you're doing it wrong, or your husband's doing it wrong, or both of you are doing it wrong. Either way. Oh, is that it? And that's it. How about that? All right. So you're doing it wrong. Don't do it wrong. All right. Let's get. What time is it now? All right. Let's do a couple. We are at, where are we at? Reddit.com/r/Dave Ramsey. A little agua there. Curtis B Music. Just out of curiosity, are you all in on the baby steps, or are you Dave-ish? Also, why? 48 comments here. I would gander to say that most of them probably Dave-ish, just because it's the internet. That's what I would think. I'll tell you what, we'll take a look at these comments in depth tomorrow, but that's what I would think. I would think at least half of them, probably more. And Aslan out. Thanks for watching. Much appreciated. So yeah, I'll take a look at those tomorrow. Let's do one more question, but that's the short answer. What I think is going to be that it's going to be more than half are Dave-ish. Because everybody finds something that they don't want to do, that they don't want to be limited to. Or they don't want to be limited by any of it, and they just say they're doing the baby steps with it when they're not doing it. They're doing it wrong, basically. It's a long one. We'll get through it. Too much information, probably. Investment strategy for young parents with a toddler. It's the same as everybody else. Hi, so I would like some thoughts on my situation that may conflict slightly with Dave Ramsey. Then change your situation to the Ramsey method. Oh, it says, but I do like his direction. Well, go his direction instead of your situation. People are so precious about their own little situations. It's crazy. So do not do that. If you like his direction, how about you do that? His way has been proven, your way has not. So I'm a 27-year-old fabricator driver, and my job is paying for me to get my Class A CDL license. As long as I stay for 2 years, I currently estimate that I will take home about $65,000 gross this year. My monthly expenses are about $3,400 a month, and I may be getting a raise soon. My wife stayed home with our 2-year-old son, and she has no income but may pick up a part-time job, which may bring home an estimated $9,000 to $11,000 gross each year. None of that changes anything with the Ramsey method. None of that matters at all. You would just take whatever numbers there are as far as income. If she does get that job, we would make too much to get help via a medical and covered California. I don't know what that means. Some kind of program they have there, but he probably spelled it wrong or something. A medical and covered California plan. I don't know what, handout. I don't know what they're talking about. Raising our family insurance monthly payments from about $180 all the way to $400 with worse coverage. In short, she would be bringing home about $600 and needing to spend about $350 on insurance. So here's the point. Great. Could have just said that. I'm considering putting a significant amount in my 401k to lower my, what is it called? Oh, goodness. Adjusted gross income is that. The M is, oh, crud. What is that? Is it median? What would that be? No, it's the magnet. Modified adjusted gross income. Okay. Adjusted gross income, and then it gets adjusted further, and the further adjusting is the modification, I guess. Okay. All right. So that's settled. So we're not doing fun tax tricks like that. You would not be putting more than 15% into your 401k. That's a no. Where we still proper level, we're still qualify for our insurance subsidy premium. So you want to lower that so you get a handout from the government instead of making more money. That's dumb as crap. So their adjusted gross income would be about 57,000, and our net income about 49,000, which would be about the same as I make now net. But how I see it, I'm sure you see it a different way. And then, so in that case, what about, do you liking his direction? You like his direction, you just don't want to go in it, you want to do your own dumb stuff? If so, just do it. But how I see it is the perk of this is that I will be putting thousands or 8,000 in my, it just says I will be putting 1,000 in my 401k. Maybe English not first language here. Which has a match of 50% up to 3% of contributions. All right. I always hate it when you do this because this is the same as, what is this? 1.5. If they would just give a flat 1.5, this is the same thing as that. I believe this is a good plan and will grow our retirement as she works. And I guess my concern, well, that goes yours in your 401k. If you guys get divorced or something like that, then what about her? And I guess my concern is putting the money in the 401k. Yeah, it will be free tax and later at potentially higher rate. Yeah, that's why we say to do Roth first. The goal is to do this until my son goes to preschool, kindergarten, and my wife will work full time to where we can either pay for the insurance instead of subsidy. Oh, you won't try to find a way to get the subsidy government handout money forever? Or maybe our future job will provide her good health insurance at a lower rate. In the midst of that transition in our life, we could transfer from the 401k into the Roth IRA so that we do not get taxed on our earnings in retirement. You will get taxed on the contribution amount when you convert it, unless you just open the Roth additionally or something and don't put as much in the 401k and max out the Roth IRA, which you should already be doing. Why aren't you already doing that? You're doing it wrong, trying to play your little subsidy game. Just wondering if anyone has any thoughts on that. Yeah, don't play subsidy games. Don't make less money to try to satisfy government handout stuff. Note, if we did none of this plan, it would seem on paper that we can afford to pay such a high rate for insurance. But in reality, they don't check how much I pay for rent and cost of living, which would show that realistically I cannot afford this level of insurance payment per month. No, you know what else you probably can't afford is a lot of other stuff you're spending on. Maybe you can't even afford to live in California. You ever thought about that? Maybe you can't do it. Maybe you can't afford to go out to eat as often as you do. Maybe you can't afford to do any other number of things that you could cut out of your budget, but you're choosing not to. So basically, you're just doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. So if you like David's direction, why not go in his direction? If you want to do your dumb handout qualifying stuff, you go ahead. Knock yourself out. You don't need to ask. You don't even need to ask. 4 comments there. Oh, let's take a look. This is the last question. Dave Ramsey does not talk about income benefits, cliff, and magi management. That much is certain. These are higher level nuanced discussion. His team would just tell you to stockpile cash now since you're having a baby. That's right. Oh, did it say pregnant? Missed that. Wife stayed home with our 2-year-old son. I totally missed baby. If it is here, I don't see it. So that doesn't help when the commenters make up stuff. Yeah, there's nothing about having a baby in here. So the commenter is doing it wrong. IC structure 5244. Pay more attention. They would remind you of the baby steps. That's right. But this guy, of course, or person, agrees with the plan to get the government subsidy money. What is covered California? Cali's name for their marketplace, or Cali's name for medical. Okay. Too long didn't read. Dave Ramsey's podcast and YouTube channel are free. Give it enough listening, you'll hear why behind his principles. Then go and make your decision. That's a great from TX Jersey 24. That's a great thing. Are you familiar with the baby steps? Where are you in the process? I suspect you're overthinking it. Always. They always do. But I don't want to jump to conclusions without more info. Well, that's the beauty of the Ramsey advice is you don't need more info than this. This is way too much, in fact. All they had to do was say blah, blah, blah. So, but yeah, there is a son here. There's one child. So being pregnant, that doesn't matter because that hadn't happened. Yeah, they should have paused the baby steps during that pregnancy, but if they were liking his direction back then. So, but yeah, I mean, this is the same thing all the time. If you want to do the dumb crap you want to do, you don't have to come to Reddit and ask. You don't even have to look at Dave's advice and say, oh, does that work with that? I don't know. I really want to do this stuff. I think I'll do it anyway. You don't have to even run it by through the Dave Ramsey prism if you don't want to. You can just do the dumb crap that you want to do. But doing this stuff as far as trying to finesse so you can get a subsidy from the government, that is very California for sure. And that's why they're so expensive, and that's why they charge so much in taxes. But that would not be the Ramsey advice. Alrighty. Again, coachstevemoney youtube.com/coachstevemoney. Messed that up almost, but I caught myself. Is where you're watching this. And if you have money problems, or you just want to make sure you're on the right track, or you just want me to tell you that you're doing it wrong, if you think you're doing it wrong and want me to tell you you're doing it wrong, I can do that. You can schedule that assessment consultation at calendly.com/coachstevemoney. That link is in the ticker below, also in the video description, as all the links are. Email coachstevemoney@gmail.com. If you have any questions about coaching or anything about my YouTube channel or anything else that's on your mind, you can email me. Donations, you can go to paypal.me/CoachSteveMoney. CashApp, $CoachSteveMoney. A Walmart gift card to that same email address, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Also, super chats on live streams and super thanks on pre-recorded videos. Upcoming streams, until further notice, the Ramsey Show Aftershow, Monday through Friday, 5:27. It says 5:25 on here, but 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time. The show will be posted earlier than it starts to go live, so should still be able to find it on my channel. And I think that's about it. As always, make smart financial decisions every day.